Look closely at your pocket change. That ordinary-looking Jefferson nickel might be worth thousands. Today we're examining two of the most overlooked and potentially valuable nickels from the 1970s and 80s that serious collectors spend years hunting down, while average Americans might unknowingly have them sitting in a forgotten jar or drawer at home. The 1973 Jefferson nickel stands as a perfect example of how seemingly common coins can hide extraordinary value. Minted during a time of economic uncertainty with rising inflation and the oil crisis looming, these 5-cent pieces were produced in massive quantities, over 384 million from the Philadelphia Mint alone. Yet among those hundreds of millions lie a handful of treasure coins that command astounding prices. What makes certain 1973 nickels so special? It all comes down to striking errors that occurred during production. The most valuable variety is the 1973 S-proof nickel with a double die obverse. This minting error happened when the die used to strike the coin shifted slightly between impressions, creating a distinct doubling effect visible on Jefferson's profile, particularly around his eye, ear, and the word Liberty. Under magnification, you'll notice clear separation between the doubled elements, not just thickness in the design. Authentic double die coins show precise doubling of specific features rather than an overall blurry appearance, which would indicate damage rather than a valuable error. In 2019, a perfectly preserved specimen of the 1973 S double die graded PR67 sold for an astonishing $18,800 at a heritage auction. Even examples in more modest condition regularly command $3,000 to $5,000 when properly authenticated. The value hierarchy for these coins is fascinating. A standard circulated 1973 nickel is worth only its face value, 5 cents. But a well-preserved uncirculated example might bring $1 to $2. The 1973 S-proof version without errors might fetch $3 to $10. Then there's the dramatic jump to the double die variety, where even in lower grades, you're looking at hundreds or thousands of dollars. There's a compelling story behind the discovery of these error coins. For years, they went unnoticed until the early 1980s when a collector examining proof sets under magnification noticed the doubling. By that time, many of these coins had already been circulated or forgotten, making high-grade survivors exceptionally rare. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the 1973 double die nickel is its scarcity. Numismatic experts estimate fewer than 15,000 were ever produced, and many of those were released into circulation before the error was discovered. Today, certified examples number in the hundreds rather than thousands, making each discovery a significant event in the collecting community. Now, let's shift our attention to another extraordinary find that might be hiding in your collection, the 1985 Jefferson nickel. While the mid-1980s aren't typically considered a golden era for rare U.S. coinage, this particular year produced one of the most valuable modern era coins that continues to elude even veteran collectors. The 1985 Jefferson nickel with the coveted triple die reverse error represents a perfect storm of numismatic rarity. Unlike most error coins that show doubling, this variety displays distinct tripling on the reverse side, primarily visible in the words Monticello and 5 cents. This occurred when the die used to strike the reverse of the coin was impressed 3 times during its creation, with slight movement between each impression. What makes this error particularly remarkable is how it escaped detection during the quality control process at the Philadelphia Mint. The tripling is subtle enough that it wasn't immediately obvious to mint workers but significant enough that, under proper magnification, it's unmistakable to trained eyes. The most pronounced tripling appears in the letters O in Monticello and the F and E in 5. The market value for these coins has seen extraordinary growth over the past decade. In 2012, a specimen graded MS-67 by PCGS sold for just under $3,000. By 2023, a comparable example commanded over $12,500 at auction, a remarkable 400% increase that outpaced most investment vehicles during the same period. The condition spectrum for the 1985 triple die nickel creates fascinating price disparities. A well-circulated example grading fine, 12 might bring $250 to $400, while a negative 58 Australian dollars, almost uncirculated, can command $800 to $1,200. The real premium comes with mint state examples, where even a single grade point difference can mean thousands of dollars in value. Unlike many rare coins with centuries of documented history, the 1985 triple die nickel has a thoroughly modern discovery story. It wasn't until the early 1990s that numismatist John Wexler identified and documented this variety. The delayed discovery meant many examples had already entered circulation and likely been handled without recognition of their true value, making pristine survivors all the more precious. What I find particularly intriguing about this error is its regional distribution pattern. Based on collector reports, these coins appear to have been primarily released in the northeastern United States, with significant concentrations documented in New York and Pennsylvania. This regional dispersal pattern suggests they may have come from a single production run that was distributed to specific Federal Reserve branches. The collecting world remains divided on just how many 1985 triple die nickels exist. Conservative estimates suggest fewer than 10,000 examples were minted, with perhaps 2,000 to 3,000 surviving in collectible condition today. Every year, a handful of new discoveries are reported, often by people who had no idea they were carrying around a four-figure coin. Both these Jefferson nickels remind us that extraordinary value can hide in ordinary places. Whether you're examining a 1973 double die or a 1985 triple die, the thrill of discovery remains one of coin collecting's greatest rewards. These aren't just pieces of metal, they're tangible connections to minting history, production errors, and the fascinating accidents that transform everyday currency into numismatic treasures. So before you dismiss that jar of change, take a closer look. You might just be holding on to a small fortune in overlooked nickels.